It's never nice to get ripped off. When you buy a product that you've been told is a luxury product, it turns up and it's shit. And that's the premise really of what happens with certain fashion watch brands. Essentially where you spend quite a chunk of money and get a product that's nowhere near representative of what you should be getting for that price. Such companies include Movement Watches, but also the ever so popular Daniel Wellington and the Fifth. And I'm sure there are thousands and thousands of others. There are these new watch brands popping up each and every day. These brands basically work by buying a shed load of really low quality watches from China, whacking their logo on, and then upping the price by 1,000%, if not more. But people still seem to buy these things. The marketing's very strong, especially towards the side of these watches looking so good. In person, I think that certain watches like these, they just look cheap. So in this video, I'll be covering 10 better alternatives to Movement, Daniel Wellington, the Fifth, and alike. And each of the watches on this list strongly resemble the minimalist design that these companies go for. All the ones I'm mentioning on this list are made of better quality materials. I think many of these actually look better as well. And the thing is, lots of these are even cheaper. I'll have them all linked and listed in the description below, as well as Amazon links for both UK and US so you can get one as quickly as possible. The first one on this list is possibly the best match for most people watching this video. This range of watches look great, they're more premium than Movement, and they're half the price. And that is the Timex Weekender Fairfield watches. The design with these is pretty similar to Movement, with a really nice minimalist design, but I certainly think that this looks more premium. In person, it looks a shed load better than the Movement watches, which you can tell are cheap straight away. It's some of the tiny details like the shape of the hands and the design of the case. You will have heard of Timex before, really well established brand, and you can guarantee a certain level of quality that you just won't find with these Chinese watches. They come in a few different sizes, you know, some of them are even unisex, or if you want a smaller watch you can try a woman's one. I'll link my favourite designs and colours down in the description. If you're on a budget, that's probably the first place I'd start. But if not, let's crack on to the next few. Number 2 is a good, slightly more casual alternative as well. If you know watches, you've heard of Swatch. The Swatch Group owns a bunch of your favourite watch brands, and the main Swatch brand makes some pretty funky fashion watches. There are some that are definitely not to my taste or function, but they've got a few that I really like, so I'll list the specific ones down in the description too. And these actually are at a similar price again to the Timex. You certainly can't go wrong, looks a hell of a lot better than most of these Chinese watches. The styling is just a little bit different if you want that. If you want to step it up a level in terms of the quality of the watch that you're getting, then look no further than Tissot. I'm not a huge fan of their watches as a whole, but there are some that look really good. And if you're after that really minimalist look, then the Everytime range is a great choice. A really clean basic dial again. These do come in at a higher price point than the likes of Movement and Daniel Wellington, so make sure you bear that in mind. The reason that you're paying that bit more is because these are Swiss made, so you're most likely guaranteed more durability and performance when you compare them to the likes of a Chinese Movement. As with the Timex, you do have a variety of different straps and bands to choose from, a solid choice. But if you want an alternative at a similar sort of price range to this, then the Orient Bambino is a very popular watch. I would argue that this certainly looks more premium at the price point than the Tissot. Now they have a bunch of different versions of this watch. I'm not going to have time to go into them in this video. Certain ones do resemble the minimalist design a little bit more than others. Once more, I'm going to pick my favourites in this regard and pop them ones down in the description. Let me know out of these two, the Tissot and the Orient, which one you would choose. The fifth one on this list is from a British brand, woo! And that is Accurist. These are a slightly lower quality watch than the previous two, and as a result they're at a much lower price point. Similar to Timex, these are a good entry point into watches, and if you live in the UK then you can get these a little bit cheaper than elsewhere in the world. They have several different attractive minimalist designs that easily replicate the same look you get with Movements but with higher quality. There's no Swiss Movements here, but you can't expect that for the price. I've had a couple of Accurist watches in the past and I've been pretty pleased as a whole. If you want a real Bauhaus design, then take a look at number 6 on this list. Made in Germany, Junkers watches give you a real European aesthetic, I'd say. You have to do a bit of digging with this one, but you can find certain models well under the £200 mark. The advantage of buying a watch that's been made in Germany is the fact that it's been made in Germany. You're guaranteed infinitely better construction, than your cheap Chinese watches. A bit like with the Swiss-made ones. You also get the Swiss movement again with this watch, which is why it's more towards the top end of the watch prices in this video. I think that this one certainly stands out from some of the other ones in this video. If this more retro design is your aesthetic, then this is going to be the one to choose for you. Another company with plenty of heritage, renowned for good quality watches, is Citizen. And number 7 on this list is going to be one of their EcoDrive range. Now this encompasses, a bunch of different types and styles of watches, but they do have some minimalist designs that are really attractive. Once more, you're getting a lot better value for money equation here compared to the other fashion brands. Now this is possibly the least representative of the minimalist style compared to some of the other ones. But if you're not sure if you like the minimalist design or not, then this might be a good halfway house. Now Citizen are a long established brand, which the next one on this list isn't. Kickstarter watches in particular are a bit of a touchy subject right now, because there's loads of watch brands that are on Kickstarter that just make terrible quality watches, advertise as great quality. Bit like how Movement have sort of gone about things. But in a couple of weeks' time, I'm going to be taking a look at this Monforti brand, which if you have a look at their watches, they certainly look the part, and the spec sheet also says similar. With a nice sapphire crystal dial, which a lot of the ones on this list haven't actually got, as well as an extremely nicely designed face, and all that at a pretty solid price point. Compared to many other Kickstarter watches that I've seen, it seems like a better value proposition. I'll leave a link to that in the description below. I'll let you know, there'll be a video about it when I try that on for myself. But if it's as good as it possibly seems to be, then that'll certainly be worth it. Make sure you subscribe to the channel if you want to see me take a look at one of them watches, see if it's actually worth the money. The 9th one on this list has been recommended to me by Brock from The Modest Man, and this is a company called Linjer. Again, pretty new company from what I can gather, and once more this is more towards the higher end of the watches in this video in terms of price. You get sapphire crystal, Swiss movement, really nice design, the minimalist aesthetic done right. I've seen these in person and he's shown me a couple of these. They look like they're the real deal. He did a video about them a while back when he compared them, I think he compared them to movement watches actually. And I don't know, some people didn't seem to like it. Personally, I definitely did. They've also got a couple of other similar sorts of minimalist designs too, so that might be worth checking out as well. The 10th one on this list might be there to satisfy the watch nerds watching this video. It's a Seiko, boys. They don't seem to do that many minimalist watches. Very popular, well-established brand. Everyone in the YouTube comment section seems to love them. You know you're going to get decent quality when you buy a Seiko, and this one's at a pretty decent price. I can't be bothered to announce the code because it's about 15 digits long. It doesn't seem to have a specific model name, this one, but I will link it down in the description so you can check it out for yourself. Really nice design once again. This is probably the closest to a minimalist watch you can get as far as I've found from the main Seiko line. Are there any awesome minimalist watches for under £200 that I've missed in this video? There's probably one or two others. Hopefully there's been a bit of a mix of budget ones in here too. I would love to hear your opinions down below. We always like to have fun discussing fashion watches in the comments, so let me know your thoughts on them. And which of these that I've mentioned here do you think is the best like-for-like replacement? If you enjoyed the video, make sure you press the like button. And if you want to see more videos about good watches, about crap watches, then make sure you press the subscribe button just there. I've got 2 more fun videos for you to watch right down there, and I'll see you on the next one, lads. Ciao.